Oops. Welcome to the Darkstream. I double clicked on that, so we'll switch back over here. Voxday, voxday.net, unauthorized TV, and of course, always, rabid puppies. Yeah, it's kind of fun on Archaven Nights last night, seeing some of the total nonsense uh, that some of the butthurt SJWs are still to this day going on about. They were actually trying to celebrate the idea that the Trump tariffs might have a negative effect on Castalia. And so let's just say I'm not worried about that. All the Castalia subscribers have stuck through us through thick and thin. They're being very patient as we get our manufacturing going. And, you know, this is just, it's the usual ups and downs. Fortunately, I've had my various new AI friends to play with. Otherwise, I'd probably be going completely berserk. As it is, I'm only going partially berserk on people. But you know, we are getting there. We got the glue solved. We've got the rounding solved. We're actually going to get the hubs manufactured from some friends of ours here in Switzerland rather than trying to do them in England, which just was not working very well. You know, we did get one set of working hubs in 9 months. It's just crazy. I mean, as bad as things are in the USA and as bad as things are in Switzerland, they really seem to be a lot worse in England. I mean, it's astonishing how companies can't do what they supposedly do for business. I have no idea how they stay in business. Good day all from Calgary, Western Canada. Soon to be the 51st state. Who knows? We'll see. Anyhow, tonight's just a hangout. I have absolutely nothing pressing that I feel the need to discuss. It's too soon to talk about the tariffs. We don't really know what all of the effects will be. But one thing that I can show you talking about AI is I added a new series over Darktoons, and it is called Tempus Occultum, and it is my take on, or my attempt to do a Umberto Eco style novel in his style with AI of a story of my own device. And so it's, you know, some of you, I believe, have read it. If you've read it so far, what do you think about, you know, on a scale of 0 to 10, how close is it to actually giving the sort of look and feel of Umberto Eco? You know, I personally think that the whole thing is fantastic. You know, I love the idea of being able to get new stories in older styles, especially with the public domain stuff. I mean, the training is still not great, but it's only going to get better. And, you know, and obviously some authors are going to be better than others in that if you look at, so that's chapter 1 here, first part of chapter 2. So, but anyhow, when you look at what is possible already, and you think about what's going to be possible soon, how it's only going to keep improving, you know, I mean, here's the thing. People have been writing ersatz Tolkien since what, 1984? You know, I think that Terry Brooks started it with Shannara, the Sword of Shannara. Um, but there's a lot of stuff that is just desperately trying to be Tolkien, and there isn't any more Tolkien being written. And and then now Amazon is destroying the legacy of that, and yet here we have an opportunity now for people that can actually tell good stories, um, to produce stuff that is better than the schlock that is being foisted upon us. I mean, people worry about, oh, this and that thing. Look at the reality of what's happening in the mainstream. John Della Rose and I last night went over the recent SFWA Grandmaster Awards. They're giving out not Hugo Awards, not Nebula Awards. They're giving out Grandmaster recognition to people who do not even write in either the science fiction or the fantasy genres. That's how completely it's been destroyed. Lunatic Farmer says, I'm really enjoying it. I've only read Name of the Rose, so that is all I can compare it to. That's actually the best comparison. I mean, you can argue, but Name of the Rose, Foucault's Pendulum, and I think Island of the Day Before, Baudolino, those four are really peak Eco. He didn't write that many novels. And Numero Zero was not that good. The Prague Cemetery was not that good. The Queen of Loama was decent, but a little bit disappointing compared to the other books. He didn't write his first book until he was, I think, around my age now. So he had pretty good output considering how late he started writing fiction. But, so we didn't get as many Eco books as we otherwise might have, and as many as we'd have liked to. And so, we'll see if this works. But it's certainly worth the effort. And it's relatively easy to do. It's much easier than actually fully writing your own stuff, and especially if you don't naturally write in the way that an author writes. There are certain authors that I can imitate very well. Guy de Maupassant, to a lesser extent H.P. Lovecraft. But I can't do the kind of stuff that Chuck Dixon, Larry Correia do. I learned a long time ago that I can't do Umberto Eco, although the success of Dan Brown's book, who really can't do him at all in any way, shape, or form, maybe indicates that I should have tried. But the thing is that I do have the ability to think in a convoluted way, and I do also know quite a bit about history and interesting conspiracy stuff and that sort of thing. And so the really great thing, I mean, Eco's style was good, and he had an excellent translator in William Weaver, so the style of his books was very good, but that wasn't what made them so compelling. Echoes of Eco. Exactly. So anyhow, it's going to be interesting to see how it proceeds. I mean, I'm already, about a fifth of the way done. So I'm going to go, I said I'm only committing to putting it up during the weekdays, but I think since we just got it started, I'll go ahead and I'll put some up tomorrow, just to give y'all a bit more to check out and that sort of thing. And then I've got another one, kind of a one that's more of a monster hunter. It would be, I guess we could call it, if we were allowed to use the Monster Hunter, which we absolutely will not be, you could almost call it Monster Hunter Gamma. So, but that's a lot of fun to play with too. So, um, speaking of Sigma game, it was kind of fascinating. I had a I had a post up yesterday, and I'll go up again. I think probably we'll do some more on it Sunday. Yeah, probably Sunday, the second part. But I was explaining why it's so important to not permit disciples. Why it's so important not to permit sycophants who help you. And, you know, people who have volunteered and work with me on projects, they know very well that, I'm pretty hands off on the projects that they run. That's why I encourage people and say, oh, somebody should do this idea. I always say, go do it. Just go do it. Don't ask me to do it. Just go do it. And, but one of the reasons is that whenever you have an original thinker, and it doesn't matter what the original thought is, it could be something prodigiously stupid like Freud's theories. It could be something that is totally mystifying to everyone, like Chris Langan's CTMU, or it could be something that's just sort of useful on a daily use, like the SSH. You know, nothing too complicated about that. Just categorized observations that allow you to how to create a basic predictive model. But whatever it is, you always get these people, usually gammas, sometimes women, who come in and want to be a part of it. And they might claim to be your biggest fan. They might just say that, oh, I think maybe you're kind of onto something here. But they immediately start trying to subvert it. And it's really interesting to me to see the way that this gamma tried to do that. And the thing is, he clearly just didn't like the fact that other people didn't like gammas. He was actually trying to get my new best friend DeepSeek to agree that the way that gammas were treated in the comments was akin to being bullied at school. And even DeepSeek was like, yeah, that's not right. It's totally different. and then the guy actually tried to do what I call an amphibolous redefinition, where he did the Dawkins thing, or the Socrates thing, where he substitutes the meaning in order to try to make his point. Because DeepSeek had said, look, the difference is that you don't have to be there. There's no reason, you're not being bullied. You don't have to be there. They're just talking about this stuff, and it's not about you. It's not about you. There's no reason for you to take offense at it, and you don't have to be there. And the guy was like, but the world is the arena, and so it's involuntary, and you can't escape it. It's like, you can't escape the comments on Sigma Game? That's literally what you were talking about. And this is something that it's really useful to pay attention to. And one thing that a lot of you don't do is you don't really pay attention. I see this all the time when I'm talking to younger people, when I'm talking to people my age. The way that people sometimes on the internet, they read to skim, and then they read to the point of offense. They read to contact. And as soon as they find something to be offended about, then they jump in and start trying to argue about it, even though they haven't read the whole thing. And often when I'm talking to especially younger people, they don't understand that you have to shut the fuck up until the other person is done talking, because you do not know necessarily where they're going. The game, it's not a game to jump in and start proving how smart you are by correctly and successfully anticipating what the other person is going to say. I mean, you know, with the development of the SSH and just, you know, experience of, you know, more than 5 decades of life, I know what people are going to say sometimes before they even start talking, but definitely once they start. If I were going to play that game, I'd be talking all the time and I wouldn't be listening to anybody, because very, very few people say anything that is original and that is even remotely surprising in the context. You know, but the correct thing to do is to always listen, because sometimes people throw you curveballs. And the more intelligent the person, the more creative the thinker, the less likely it is that you're going to correctly anticipate what they're saying. You know, one of the guys in one of the projects, very smart guy, but obviously used to being around less intelligent people. And it took about 2 years to break him of the habit of trying to guess what I was going to say. And it got to the point where I just made a game of it. Let him interrupt. Let him say what he thought you were going to say, and then you say, "No, that's wrong. This is what I was going to say." And then pointing out, how did we save any time there? And it got to be kind of comical, but before he quit completely, because I mean, he probably didn't get it right more than 15% of the time, which I think that was almost why he did it as much as he did, because he couldn't believe that he wasn't usually successful in anticipating that. But of course, you know, I'm someone who notoriously thinks far outside the box. I mean, to the point that some people have said that I apparently have no idea where the box is. You know, it was kind of funny when we were testing Rebel Moon Rising for Intel. They had like 60 people playing our game and testing it, and I still would somehow have the ability to sit down, start playing the game, and break something within the first minute. And my friend and partner, who is the lead programmer and producer, he would always say, "What is it that you do? Like, how do you do something that is different than what these 60 other people did?" You know, and I don't know what, but you know, obviously, if you just happen to think a little differently than other people, then you're less predictable, right? And so, but the key is that I'm getting to here is that when you do that, the person that you're screwing over is yourself, because you're not reading the information, you're not taking in all the information. You know, and I understand, especially when someone's talking, people talk much more slowly than you can read. I mean, that's one reason why I don't watch videos. You know, I would much rather just be given the transcript of the video, and then I can read it in, you know, 1/20th the time that it takes to sit there and listen to people meander around the point and all that sort of thing. Which I do like everybody else. When we talk, talking is an incredibly inefficient form of communication. You know, in a perfect world, we would all just, you know, write emails to each other. But anyhow, that's not going to happen. So, if anything, we're moving away from that. Powers It Bear says, the people who catch me off guard are always interesting, typically weird people. Yeah, or at least unusual. But the point is that even if you know where someone's going, it is very useful to let them communicate and talk through it, because then you can better understand how they think. Even if you know where they're going and more or less what they're going to say, you can still learn a tremendous amount from how they get there and what they do it. I mean, what they do with it, how they get there, how they communicate it. You know, I mean, personally, for me, I have to admit, I personally find it maddening listening to the average woman tell a story, because they seem to always want to build up to an obvious punchline, but they go up to it and then they retreat from it, and they go up to it and then they retreat from it, and you're just like, finish the damn story, please. You know, because it's not like you don't know where it's going. So I'm saying I understand the temptation to just jump in and get them there, but it's not the right thing to do. I mean, it's not correct in terms of etiquette, and it's not correct in terms of how it makes them feel. And it's also not correct in terms of your ability to better understand how they think, so that you can more accurately anticipate what they're going to do, what they're going to say, etc. in the future. And so, anyhow, the reason I mentioned this was not one but two different people leaped to absolutely wrong conclusions. Basically, they thought two different things quoted were by the same person, even though they were obviously from two different people. And my first thought was, how did this ever happen? Like, how could you possibly mistake that? And then I realized, oh, they were just skimming. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't skim. Go ahead and skim. Skim away. But if you're going to comment on the material, you better read it. If you're going to argue with something that I've said, if you want to dispute something that I'm saying, you need to be quiet and wait until I finish, because it's entirely possible that your objection is going to be dealt with. And so, I mean, what I find particularly frustrating is when you're telling someone something and then they break in thinking that they know what's going on, and then they look at you like, right? And you're like, no, you're wrong. That's completely wrong. And then you tell them what is correct, and then they get defensive and say, well, how was I supposed to know that? Well, all you needed to do was shut up and listen. I was literally trying to tell you, but you jumped in and started guessing. So, if you want to play that game, play it in your head. You don't have to jump in. You can just play it in your head, see if you're right or not. If you are, good for you. You're getting good at it. If you're not, well, then maybe you need to, then it's a really good thing you didn't jump in, huh? So, anyhow, Powers That Bear says, business setting stories from females are extra frustrating. I can't even imagine. The worst is when you get a whole story and somehow they manage to completely avoid any takeaway. Like they completely avoid the point. Like, what what was the point of that whole thing? Oh well, so and so's died. Like, okay, I might have led with that. I mean, it can be just I mean human communication can be absolutely comical. And but here's the thing. Probably, and keep this in mind, probably 2/3 to 3/4 of our problems with other people are because we jump in and we don't listen. You know, um, Pattern Maker Bear says one of my favorite bosses called me "shut up and listen" for a whole summer because of this. They did you a huge favor, and I sense because it was one of your favorite bosses, you probably understand that. But here's the thing: is you don't impress people with what you say. You don't impress people by telling them things. You impress people by getting things done. You impress people by accomplishing things. So there's absolutely no point in trying to demonstrate your value through talking. Nobody believes you anyhow. I mean, to me, it's kind of funny how, uh, I can't even talk about things that I've created, talk about things I've wrote, just because people just flat out don't believe me. They want to check Wikipedia. Like, yeah, I got some bad news about that for you. But, um, so learn from the mistakes of others. Learn when the gammas go and publicly immolate themselves in front of everybody. Look at what they did. I asked one of the guys who he's a self-admitted gamma. I asked one of the guys who had made the mistake of had read too quickly and conflated the two different quotes. And he then said, well, there was no indication that they were two different quotes. And I said, that's obviously not true. I said, yes, it's true. The quote wasn't attributed specifically in the quote, but the whole context was disproving what the other person had said. Then I quoted this other person who I also mentioned was one of the authors I publish. Ergo, not the original critic. I said, so also there was a link that directly showed who said that. So there were 3 indications, not 0, 3 indications that obviously it showed that there were 2 different people. And I said, why would you say that there were none? I mean, we're all right here. We can all see it. We all know why you made the mistake. It's not a big deal. You skimmed instead of reading and you missed something. Happens all the time to everyone. It even happened to somebody else in that same comment thread. But I said, why did you make a false statement about your mistake? And I wasn't trying to to make a point of him or anything. I was genuinely curious because I didn't understand why you would say something that was obviously and provably false when everyone had to know it. right? And to his credit, because I said, look, was this just some sort of like instinctive reactive thing? You know, was this just, were you just reacting in automatic defense of your misinterpretation? Or do you think everyone's that stupid? Because with gammas, they always seem to think that they're being so subtle and sneaky about things, and that no one realizes what they're doing. And you're like, it's like somebody creeping up to the house in all dressed in black like a cat burglar, and moving a ladder up to the window, and people are all walking by on the street like, it's 2 in the afternoon. Does he realize everybody can see him? Powers That Bear says the defense of a misinterpretation is always worse than the misinterpretation. Yeah, it usually is. Now, the thing is, we all do it in the sense that we all have a natural tendency to want to explain why we got it wrong. I catch myself doing that too. It's stupid. When I catch myself, I try to stop, but but it's really going too far. I mean, that's just pointless. But it's flat out wrong and self-humiliating if you're going to assert a falsehood in defense of your misinterpretation. I mean, just say, I got it wrong. Cut to the chase, move on, because as we know, nobody cares. So, this is a good segue. Speaking of things that nobody cares about, except me, I have been playing with a new AI music system, and I'm going to show you how good it is. Ironically, it's not the music system that I thought I was going to play with tonight, because I was excited. Udio sent me an email. It's their new 1.5, and you can do these essentially what they call types, but they're basically like Suno's personas. You can upload your voice, upload your former band, and then it'll imitate that style and so forth. I don't quite understand the idea of sending it out to everybody and then saying, oh yeah, you got to pay $30 if you want to if you want to use that feature. Like, yeah, I'm not going to pay to try it, because I used to pay it to, when I first started using it, I did pay it to just to use it and see how good it was. Promptly dropped it and stuck with Suno. So I did try that tonight. Not that one new feature, but I did try their new better engine. It was better, but still had the same fundamental problems that I had with it before. Just the voices are very good, but it doesn't make the lyric flow very well, and the song structures are in my opinion suboptimal compared to Suno. But there's this new thing called Refusion, spelled with an I, and what's really kind of exciting about it, do you remember I'll play just a little clip of it because I do happen to have it here. So this was, I did 2 different versions of it, one for Soul Sigma called If You Had a Time Machine, the other one's called Why I Never Called, and retrieval augmented generation. Well, Suno already has it. They had it. They have it, but they don't let you. They used to let you use it for more stuff than they do now, and so it's not very useful at the moment. But they'll bring it back, I'm sure. So anyhow, this is just a little. I'll play a clip of the Suno one, and then I'll play you what I did with Refusion. Now, what's really cool about Refusion, and something to keep in mind, is that with Suno, what you're going to hear is something that I, it's something that I had put together. I finished, more or less. What you'll hear with Refusion is just, I put the whole thing in, and this is what it came out with. So I didn't even do any editing or anything. So here is the Suno version first. This is why I never called. Let's see what I can find here. We'll pop it up. And we're just going to do this for to show you the difference right off the get-go. So this is okay. Go through the first chorus.
You never learned what became of me. You might have thought that we were meant to be. I told you that I'd call you later, but I was dumb and you were just 17. You came out to stay with me. We shared some secrets, you and me, but then you left, and we can't turn back time. If you had a time machine, then you know why I dropped the ball. If you had a time machine, you know why I never called.
Okay, so that was the Suno version. It's the First Avenue mix of Why I Never Called by Patrol. And, that's the result of hundreds of spins, lots of work, lots of editing, getting it to come and flow together, that sort of thing. Now Refusion, which is R-I-F-F, like riff fusion, which is actually a pretty good name when you think about it. This is what it kicked out, one of the two spins that it kicked out. No editing, no nothing. It's not perfect, but I think you'll be impressed with the audio quality as well.
You never learned what became of me. You might have thought that we were meant to be. I told you that I'd call you later, but I was dumb and you were 17. You flew out just to stay with me. We shared some secrets, you and me. But you went back to high school, to your real life, and we can't turn back time. If you had a time machine, you know why I never called. If you had a time machine, you know why I dropped the ball. Back then, I used to wait for your letters and your pictures, so pretty. God, you were simply beautiful and so perfect. I didn't keep in touch with everyone I knew, but I did with you, just because, just in case, we might one day get together. Never say never, but we can't turn back time. If you had a time machine, you know I never called. If you had a time machine, if you had a time machine, you know I never called. If you had a time machine, you know I never called. It's all too late now, you're gone, I'm still here. You're married, you have kids, you have a family, you have a life. And so do I live with my regrets, and I don't know where you are. I just know there's no way back. If you had a time machine, you had a time machine, you know I never call. If you had a time machine, you could write another letter. If you had a time machine, maybe it would all be better. If you had a time machine, you know I'd drop the ball. If you had a time machine, you know I'd never call. Why?
So you can see there's some infelicities in there. There's obviously definitely some mistakes, but you know, that is incredibly good. If you've been working with Suno, if you got something that coherent and flowing that reasonably on the first try, you'd be thinking, wow, this one's going to be easy. I don't even know. I haven't even tried to play with the editing tools yet, so I have no idea how good they are, you know, or what can be done with it. But I wanted to, you know, I obviously I did that one as a rock tune. You know, there's rock versions. The Soul Sigma version of that song is going to be coming out soon, and I'll put it up here on UATV. Maybe we'll do a little debut thing here with that and the other stuff. But I wanted to hear how it can do with metal. And so now we can do a direct comparison. I just did both of these in the last 2 days. My way of celebrating the fact that we're going to be working on a Black Warrant script very soon, the legend Chuck Dixon and I. We're finishing up our first script. We're getting started. We're already, to be honest, we're already starting on the second one. And so, and for those of you who are like confused as to why I'm as focused on actually getting stuff done with the music, it's because our intention is that we're going to be providing the soundtracks for these. And so I need to figure out what's the best way to do it, to get some cool stuff, to get the best results, and to get the best quality. So not just with the AI stuff, but with the organic stuff as well. So I mean, that's why Cornelius is going to be coming to UATV soon, et cetera, et cetera. You know, he's also going to be contributing to the soundtrack stuff. So which do you want to hear first? Do you want to hear the Suno version or the Refusion version first? You know, the first one of the first song we heard, the first one was Suno. The second one was Refusion. Now, I haven't finished the Suno editing on this one, so this is a little bit more of a fair comparison in terms of just throwing it out there. You know, none of them are mastered, none of them are nothing, no editing, et cetera, et cetera. Black Warrant, that title wouldn't have made it. Worst version, I'm not even sure what is the worst version, to be honest. Well, let's just stick with Refusion then. We'll stick with Refusion and then we'll go with Suno. We'll see what you guys like better. So this is a song I'm calling Fade to Black. And yes, I'm aware there's a Metallica song of that name. I think I don't care. It's a perspective, maybe could become a theme song for Black Warrant, but you know, it's just going to be one of the songs that we'll use for it, I think. And this is the Refusion Fade to Black.
He knows that you've been bad, that you're up to no good. It won't help to beg for mercy. He wouldn't spare you if he could.
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. It was already playing. Hang on. There we go.
at your door. You're the one who brought him there. If you keep track of the score, then you know he doesn't care. He knows that you've been bad, that you're up to no good. It won't help to beg for mercy. He wouldn't spare you if he could. Oh, he's coming for you, coming for you, coming for you. There's no way back. He's coming for you, coming for you. Fade to black. He's your very worst nightmare. He's justice and he's vengeance, and there's no one he will spare. He's gunning for you, gunning for you, gunning for you. There's no way back. He's coming for you, gunning for you. There's no way out. There's no way out. There's no way back. There's no way back. There's no escape. Fade away to nothing. Fade away to nothing. Fade away, fade away. Fade to black.
So that was the Refusion version of Fade to Black. And you know, one thing I did notice about both the songs, I actually just noticed it here listening to them, is that kind of after about 2.5 minutes, it starts to kind of get like even the audio quality gets a little bit sketchy. So that's something I need to keep an eye on. But these guys are only in beta. I mean, this is the beta version of their stuff, and it's pretty good. So then this is now the wife unit's least favorite song. Fair enough. It is crisper though. It definitely has a crisper feel to it. And again, that was like just the first, like, hey, here's the finished lyrics. Throw something together. Now here is the Suno version that I'm actually working on. This is one, I'm not done with it yet. There's definitely at least one lyrical infelicity that was pointed out to me. See if you can spot it. But you know, but this one's a little bit more complete sounding, I think, just because I know the system better. But so this is the Suno version of Fade to Black.
nothing fade to black.
So that is the Suno version, and it's not done yet. It ends too soon. It needs a good guitar. Needs a guitar solo. Well, I think the first one, the Refusion one, it's got that crisp. Like you said, there's space between the sounds. It's less of a mishmash. It's more. It cuts through. It sounds a bit more organic. The Suno stuff, of course, sounds more slickly produced. And even though it's a bit of a wall of sound, that's kind of what we're accustomed to hearing, with the radio and whatnot. And so it tends to come off a bit more professional. I mean, obviously I'm probably going to, for the purposes of their pitch meetings and stuff, I'll give them a finished version of the Suno version, just because I know how to get good results out of that. But Refusion is really exciting because it gives you another tool in the toolbox. Probably different systems are going to be better for different styles. Suno is definitely more pop oriented. It tends to frustrate a lot of the more serious musicians who are trying to do stuff with jazz and whatever, and they're like, it all sounds the same, happy, poppy, blah, blah, blah. And I get why they don't like that. I mean, I personally like that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I want to be doing. For the most part. I mean, obviously the Soul Sigma stuff is not exactly like cheerful poppy stuff, but even that, it has a pop edge to it. I'm not really into the more getting the more experimental music. I like my song structures. I like my three verses, the bridge and the chorus. Even though for some reason half the songs I do, 3/4 of songs I do don't have pre-chorus bridges. In fact, Suno seems to believe that a bridge is something that goes after the second chorus, before the guitar or saxophone solo. So apparently my understanding of what a bridge is wrong. I always thought it was a bridge from the verse to the chorus, but anyhow, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, it's really cool because what this means is that we're going to be able to, we've already got the comics. We've already got the ability to turn the comics into AI video is coming soon, within the next 2 years. And we'll have the ability to do AI voices. And we're going to have the ability to do the soundtracks, the music. So, the makings of an entire animated studio are literally being constructed around you. And I don't know if you fully see that yet, fully grasp that yet, but this is very exciting. This is the kind of stuff that we didn't even know to dream about when we were young. And so, even though these are difficult times, and even though there's a lot of challenges, these are really, really exciting times to be alive and to be creative. And I'm just so happy that I got to see it, that I got to use it and play with it. I mean, I don't know if you realize, but I've probably done in the past, basically since November, I think I've done like 47 songs, something like that. And it's fantastic, I mean, I've been wanting to do, I've been trying to get Paul and the guys in the band to do stuff for decades. And all we ever got out of it was one song, Summertime. Really good song, but not great output for 25 years, you know? And so, it's, I mean, I'm really grateful for Booster Patrol, and I really enjoy doing Booster Patrol covers and that sort of thing. But what I really like to do best is original stuff, and having the ability to have AI transform the lyrics into into a full complete song. I mean, that was the dream. I mean, that was a dream we didn't even know we had. The dream we didn't remember when we woke up, and yet here it is. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool. And anyhow, I hope you enjoyed hanging out tonight. I've got to turn in because I've got some stuff to do tomorrow. But thanks very much. And on the UATV front, I'm told that we are making very good progress. And those of you who are working, I know there's a few of you who are working with the devs, and I believe that that first test is going to be very soon, as in within a week. So, and if that goes well, then we can open up and we're back in business officially. Not that we're shut down, but you get the point. Anyhow, thanks so much. I'm Vox Day, and this is the Darkstream.